Greetings and welcome to another episode of the TED in Your Head podcast. I am Ted Moreno, certified hypnotherapist and high performance coach. And for 20 years, I've been helping people change their minds using the powerful tool of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I will tell you how to get in touch with me at the end of today's podcast. But for now, let's get into today's show. How to break up SSDD and feel alive. 14 ways to break up SSDD and feel alive. What is SSDD, you might ask? I'll tell you in just a minute. But first, let me ask you a question. Do you ever get the feeling that all you do is work and be responsible? Do the days seem to run into each other because the same thing happens day in and day out? Do you feel stuck? Henry David Thoreau said, "Most people lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with the song still in them." Do you sometimes feel that Thoreau is talking about you? And you know what? You would be saddened and shocked by the number of people that would say yes to that question. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day humdrum. When you ask people how they're doing, how often do you get SSDD, which stands for same stuff, different day? It's like if you hang a picture on the wall. For the first few days, you'll look at that picture or that painting, you'll go, oh, that's a nice painting. But eventually, that painting becomes part of the background and you don't really notice it anymore. Life can be the same way, where all the things you do every day just kind of run into each other and fade into the background. And that becomes your life if you aren't constantly and consistently looking for new things to fill you up. If you can relate to what I'm talking about, then you need to change some things up. You need to do something different. And here are some tips that can help you bring more joy, aliveness, and passion into your life. And it all starts with connecting with those things that fill you up inside. And I'm not talking about going out and buying new stuff, although that might be a solution, but really, I'm talking about new feelings and new experiences. The great thing about it is they are relatively simple things. So let's get into it. First is one of my favorite things to do, which brings me joy and connects me with who I really am, and that is simply listening to music. Music is healing. Music speaks to our souls. Turn off the TV and sit instead with your eyes closed, listening to your favorite type of music. When was the last time you did that? Get on Spotify or iTunes and make a playlist of your favorite songs and listen to them in your car instead of listening to the news. I love classical music, and when I am feeling dulled by life, I listen to Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony or Bach's Sonatas and Partitas for solo violin. You know, today it's just so easy to ask your favorite smart speaker to play something, and then it plays in the background. But it can be really helpful to just sit and listen and enjoy music. Another thing I really enjoy doing is I love playing music. I love singing. Do you have a dusty instrument laying around? Pull it out and see if you can become friends again. Could be as simple as a wooden flute with holes in it, or as complex as a grand piano. Here's a wooden flute with holes in it. Very simple, made from an agave stalk. You blow in one end and you can make music. It's really quite amazing. So listening to music, playing music, these are awesome things that can be very, very simple. Say you're not a musician. Well, have you always wanted to learn an instrument? When would now be the best time to start? Guitar is easy and cheap. You can learn by watching YouTube videos. So just because you don't know how to play something doesn't mean you can't start today. How about watching your all-time favorite movie? One that inspires you, one that makes you laugh or makes you think. Turn off the phone, grab your favorite brew, and be taken away by one of your favorite stories. My favorite movies, Lawrence of Arabia and Casablanca. If you haven't seen those movies, check them out. But there's a lot of good ones out there. So carve out some time to sit with your honey or your loved ones, Watch a great movie that can be very inspiring. Something that I like to do is read. Read something that keeps you turning the pages, something inspiring and interesting. Make regular time to savor it. If you learn something, that's a bonus. I'm reading right now this book, My Effin' Life by Geddy Lee, the lead singer of the rock band Rush. Awesome book. And I'm also reading On the Road by Jack Kerouac, also an awesome book. So if you love reading, carve out some time to get back. I didn't read anything for a long time, and I'm really trying to make a concerted attempt to read more. What else can you do? How about, do some art. Let your artistic side come out. Do you like to draw, paint, photography, work with clay? I don't know how much a bag of Sculpey is, but I'm sure it's not a lot. You know what Sculpey is? It's like little clay. You buy it at like Michael's art store. You don't need to know how to sculpt. Just play. Just see what happens. Create something with your hands. How about dancing? If you find yourself alone and the mood strikes you, then get up and bust a move. Don't be shy to dance alone. It's all about freedom of expression. If you want to, but you can't, call me and I'll help you bust loose. I dance almost always by myself, sometimes in front of my kids and my wife if I've had a drink or two. The key is to move your body with the music. Get into your body and feel the groove. What's the quote? Dance like no one is watching, right? Here's another thing you can do, which a lot of people do, and it's start a garden. Might be a flower garden, might be a vegetable garden. Plant a seed, nurture it, watch it grow. There's something magic about that. Maybe you end up with fruit, vegetables, or a pretty flower. Be a partner in the miracle of life. Get filled up with wonder. That will make you wonderful or more wonderful than you already are. Get your hands in the dirt and get out and garden daily. It is incredibly therapeutic. There's another thing that a lot of people do. Get a pet. Dogs, cats, birds, whatever. Play with your pet if you had one. A lot of pets don't get enough playtime. So don't just walk them. So you say you don't have the room for a pet or it's too much hassle? Get a fish. They're easy and they don't mess up your house, and aquariums are peaceful. Get some frogs or newts. Some people like snakes and lizards. They're not for me, but whatever floats your boat, get something alive and take care of it. What else can you do? How about hanging out with a little kid? Maybe yours, maybe someone else's that you know or care about that would like some kid-free time. Take this little kid, go buy him an ice cream. Go do something that you liked to do when you were a kid. It's really important to reconnect with our inner child. And one of the best ways to do that is to go out and hang out with a little kid. Get out and hang out with a little kid in nature or get out into nature by yourself. This is very, very powerful. Go to a park and walk barefoot in the grass. Take a drive up into the mountains. Take a hike. I like lakes and streams. There's magic in those places that I really resonate with. My personal local favorite is Pudding Stone Lake in Bonelli Park here in San Dimas, where I live. Go fishing, kayaking, just get out. Not very much into nature? Get out and go to a museum. Want to get inspired? Stand in front of a painting that's 500 years old. It's quiet and it's cool in museums. I was in New York last summer standing in front of The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. There it is, right there. Not the real thing, of course, but a nice facsimile. One of my favorite paintings. And I was so moved to stand in front of it and see it in real life. My favorite place to go, favorite museum, Huntington Library and Botanical Gardens in San Marino here in California. They have a beautiful Japanese garden and a brand new Chinese garden that is absolutely amazing. If you live in the LA area, this is a national treasure right in our own backyard. And I'm sure there's something like that where you are if you don't live in the LA area as well. Get out by yourself, go to a museum, just walk around and sit and admire art and sculpture. What else can you do? How about building something? Anything. A shed, a box, a model plane, a real airplane. Create something with your hands. There's something so fulfilling with creating something with your hands, whether it's a box or a work of art. It's so fulfilling to go through that process. Even a jigsaw puzzle. A lot of people just love jigsaw puzzles and find it very, very relaxing. How about taking a vacation? When was the last time you took a vacation? Even if it's just a day off. Or can't take a day off? Half a day off. Like a mental health day. Yeah, I know they disrupt my routine too. You say you can't afford it? I say you can't afford not to. Rest and relaxation are just as important as work and productivity. Last but not least, develop a spiritual practice. Whatever is meaningful to you, reading spiritual texts, going to worship services, meditation, or study. A spiritual practice can connect you to deeper parts of yourself that leave you feeling centered, grounded, and connected to everything out there. So really, everything we've just talked about, it's all about connecting with your inner sense of wonder and creativity and getting inspired. We are creative beings, and when we're deprived of these essential qualities, we shrivel and die. Perhaps not a physical death, but certainly a spiritual one. So it's up to you to give yourself what you need to thrive, not just survive. I hope you enjoyed my podcast today. If you need some assistance in finding the motivation to do some or all of these things, then you can request a complimentary phone consultation by going to tedmoreno.com/contact. And now, of course, in addition to watching a video of this podcast by going to YouTube, you can go to my blog and read the text of this podcast. YouTube channel is at Ted A. Moreno, and you can read a blog by going to that's tedmoreno.com/blog. So here's two quotes for you. The first one is by Jiddu Krishnamurti. Perhaps you've heard of him, Jiddu Krishnamurti. And he said, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." And I have my own thoughts about how healthy our current society is. This other quote is from an article titled "The Only Way to Avoid Living a Life of Quiet Desperation," and it's by Jason Phipps at elephantjournal.com. And if you go to my blog post online, you can find a link. And he said, "The only way to avoid a life of quiet desperation is to be brutally honest with ourselves, to not succumb to the trappings of a society that forces us to buy, pose, share, and like, to be different in a matter that is authentic, to have the courage and look life in its eyes and say no to what isn't our path and to say yes to what is. Avoiding this isn't easy, hence why most of us never do." So there's something to think about. Not being a member of the rat race, pulling aside some time to reconnect what is true and real for you. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and take good care of yourself. Bye now.